Hey social media, what is up? Welcome back to another episode of VGC Prep. My name is Ryan and let's get to these battles. So like I said in the other episode, today we're going to be going through the rest and the remainder of the battles from BattleSpot, the stream that I did, using this team down below. And as I explained, this team is fun even though it is uber broken. So let's get into the first match. We can see that he has an Aegislash, Breloom, Suicune, and Charizard. Now, Charizard is one of those Pokemon that kind of sort of threatens this team sort of badly. But as long as I can get Trick Room up, I don't have to worry too much about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start off with Cresselia and Kangaskhan, which Kangaskhan has the most KO potential against his team. So that's why I decided to bring it. Now, I have changed safety goggles to this Cresselia. I do believe I did it for the stream. That's because I don't really feel like I need the mental herb. I'd prefer the safety goggles because right now there's literally no way I can deal with sleep on this team. So it's still, there's a lot of effort that I should put into this team to make it work a little bit better than I already do. But yeah, so he does start off with Suicune and Charizard, and I'm not, too concerned about Suicune. With Sun up, Scald's not going to be doing too much. It could burn me, but I'm not too concerned about being burned here. So I actually just go straight for the Helping Hand, and basically what I want to do is I'm going to go straight for the Suicune. Now, he does actually target the Kangaskhan, and unfortunately he gets a crit with the Overheat. I can survive that about 80% of the time, so it's very unfortunate that he got the crit, because there's a good chance I would have survived that. So, oh well, I mean, what are you gonna do? So, I bring in Sylveon, and I'm still kind of in a bad position. I needed one way to just knock that Charizard out. Now, he actually goes for Tailwind here, which I found a very interesting play. Just trying to get that Aegislash to be faster than my Sylveon, but unfortunately for him, I do believe I go for Trick Room this turn. The reason I did that was because I was indeed bringing in Sylveon, and Sylveon is slower than most of his team, so I was going to want to get that Trick Room up. So we see an Aegislash, and we see that it has leftover. So what I want to do is, with the Sun out, I'm going to go for Helping Hand. We're going to go for Hidden Power Fire. Now, he protects with the Suicune, and at first I was like, that's very odd. And I still do think that's odd. I don't really know why he would protect with the Suicune and not the Aegislash. Sylveon it's pretty common for Sylveon to run Hidden Power Ground or Hidden Power Fire. And especially with the Sun out, you don't want to take that risk. What can Sylveon do to Suicune? Not very much. So what I do here is I go for Helping Hand. I do believe I go for Hyper Voice because that's honestly my strongest move against both of these guys. It is going to take out the Suicune, which is great. That Helping Hand boost was just enough to take it out. It's not going to do a lot on the Charizard, but it's going to do, damage, and damage is what I want. Now, he does go for Overheat yet again, but the cool thing about this is he's now stuck at -2, which is fantastic, because now he's stuck at -2 because I took out his Suicune, so he has no way to switch out and get that boosts back. That's not good. So out comes Breloom, and I kind of make a bad play here. Honestly, I should have just doubled into the Breloom, but I made a really bad play there. I was just kind of hoping maybe he wouldn't be Focus Sash, and why wouldn't he be? I mean, let's be real here. So he does Spore the Talonflame, which is unfortunate, but I'm not out yet. I still have a turn left to Trick Room. His Tailwind's out, which doesn't really make much of a difference, to be quite honest with you. So basically what I do is I just go straight for the Brave Bird onto the Talonflame, or no, with the Talonflame onto the Charizard. He does go for Heat Wave, but remember, he is at -2, so honestly, even though I'm asleep, I can still win this, I can still come back from this. I just have to keep hoping for Brave Bird. So I go for Brave Bird on the Breloom this time, because Trick Room is out. So, obviously, the Breloom's going to outspeed me, get the Spore up, and it's just not going to be a good time for anyone. So I need to get rid of the Breloom. So I go for the Breloom, and since we know that there is no Trick Room up, and if he had, you know, Ancient Power or a better move to hit my Talonflame with, he definitely would be going for it, because at -2, you're not going to really be able to take out my Talonflame here. And I just go straight for a Psychic. I don't need Trick Room up right now, because obviously I have priority Brave Bird, so there's really no reason to waste a turn to set up. So I went for Trick Room just to see how much damage I can do, minimize the damage to my own Talonflame through Brave Bird, and that was that battle. So the next battle we go into, you know, I saw not a lot, but I saw the Virizion, and I was just like, I'm not really sure what the Virizion wants to do. I've never really battled one of these before, but overall, obviously, Talonflame is just going to wreck Virizion. So I'm looking at his team, and I notice a massive Fairy weakness. So I'm thinking, yo, I'm just going to start off with Sylveon. Sylveon's going to be my best bet. He really doesn't have anything for Sylveon at all. So I also start off with Landorus because I figure, you know, he has a lot of grass weaknesses. I can U-turn out of there. I didn't bring my Trick Room option because I honestly did not think I would need it here. Even though most of my team is outsped by his, they can take the attacks fairly well and dish it out back. So he starts off with Hydreigon and Liepard, which I found really, really dumb. I'll be quite honest with you. Knowing that I had the Sylveon, his whole team was just really weak to it. Now, he does go for the Fake Out on me, which is fair enough, and this is where, you know, my inexperience with Landorus really comes into play. I'm max HP, so I was thinking, you know, maybe I can survive this. I knew he was going to Draco me, because what else would he do this turn? He could Flash Cannon the Sylveon, but it's not really worth it for him, because then he's going to have to take the Landorus, and Landorus usually run U-turn. So yeah, that was just that was a poor play on my part. But at the same time, I didn't really have a switch in for that, except for Sylveon, who was already out on the field. So what are you gonna do? So basically, what I do is I just go straight for the Brave Bird. I believe onto the Liepard. I hope onto the Liepard. No, why did I do that? I'm not really sure why I did that, actually. Now that, you know, hindsight is 2020, I probably should have targeted the Liepard, because they're usually focus sashed. Now, he does actually go for the Thunder Wave onto my Sylveon, which was a waste of a turn for him. Maybe you get the Paralysis, which he does, but still, it's like, really slow regardless. I don't really understand. So what I do here is I actually finally go for the Liepard, because it is Focus Sash, so that was probably the better play. Because there's no way a Hydreigon's going to survive a Hyper Voice, so I had no reason to double into that. Now, he goes for the Paralysis onto my Talonflame, and then immediately Thunderbolts it, which is really, really, really odd. That in itself was one of the worst plays I've ever seen someone make. I don't know what else his Liepard runs. Maybe he doesn't have anything else, but maybe even just getting a Swagger up on the Sylveon would have been a better play. I don't agree with it as a play, but Thunder Waving when you're just going to go straight for the kill doesn't really make sense. So in comes Hydreigon, and I'm thinking, okay, he's probably going to stay in and go for a Draco Meteor. And I'm thinking, we don't know if he's Specs or if he's not, so I'm just going to protect and play it safe. He does go for the Draco Meteor, but he targets Sylveon. So I'm just going to chalk that up into a misclick. He went for the Heat Wave, probably wanted to grab the Kangaskhan. But I get paralyzed, and that's really, really unfortunate, because with the paralysis, I'm not going to be able to take out the Hydreigon. And I do survive that move. And then he doesn't go for Heat Wave. So what's really awesome about this is I'm able to get the Hammer Arm off on the Hydreigon, which should be more than enough to take out the Hydreigon, which means this Zapdos is going to be taking a full frontal Hyper Voice, which means it should go down as long as I don't get paralyzed. And I get paralyzed. So it's like, oh my god, I was so close. That was literally game right there. Because the Virizion had nothing for my Sylveon. Literally nothing. I mean, it could hit me with a Leaf Blade, or I guess, and it actually does, but literally that was game right there, because I do believe I had Talonflame in the back, so it's just like, once that Zapdos went down, it was a good game, you know? But unfortunately I get paralyzed, and it's just like, ugh. Oh, I didn't have Talonflame in the back. I just had Kangaskhan. So actually, you know what? Maybe I probably didn't win that game had I got paralyzed. Now that I think about it. Well, actually, no, because then I might have 2 attacks into the Virizion. And, you know, obviously, Hyper Voice would KO. Fire Punch would KO. He doesn't have Focus Sash. So yeah, actually, you know, I do believe I would have won that. But regardless, not a big deal. So going into the next match, I wasn't really sure what to start off with. Chandelure actually kind of scared me because it's pretty powerful. But I ended up going for Sylveon Cresselia. I just wanted to get that Trick Room up there because he had the Mega Salamence. Or she had the Mega Salamence, so I really just wanted to get that Trick Room up. Now, she ends up starting off with Sylveon and Thundurus, so I was a little weary. I might have been wrong. I think I still have Mental Herb on this Cresselia. I was a little weary because, you know, Sylveon is kind of strong, you know, and Thundurus does have some power behind it, but honestly, I wasn't overly concerned. She does crit both of my Pokemon, but doesn't take either one of them out, so it was kind of awesome there. And the damage roll there was pretty awesome. I actually end up at 1 HP, which means I get 1 attack off. So I just put all my chips into Sylveon, and I went for a Helping Hand boosted Hyper Voice, really hoping I wouldn't get paralyzed. It would be enough to take out both of her Pokemon, so that was awesome. Putting all the chips into Sylveon, hoping she didn't get paralyzed. Or he, I guess it's a he. Wow, I did not know that. Just so I can just win, you know. So now I'm 3-2. I'm in a really good position. I don't remember what I have in the back, but it's something good, something lovely. And in comes Chandelure, and I'm like, I don't know if I have anything to hit the Chandelure with. Gaining Fire Punch on Kangaskhan means I have nothing to hit this Chandelure with. So I'm like, there's no reason for me to stay in. I'm at -1. Why? So I actually just switched into Talonflame here, hoping she'd go for the Fire Blast, because I can take that relatively well. You know, not super well, but relatively well. So she's gonna Mega Evolve and she's gonna go for Protect, which is fine. I do believe she goes for Shadow Ball onto my Cresselia. I do miss the Ice Beam, which is really unfortunate, but all in all, it's not a horrible loss because I do survive the Shadow Ball. Now, unluckily, she does get the double Protect, which really mattered. There's a chance that I wouldn't one-hit KO the Salamence, which is why I doubled into it. But luckily for me, she actually goes for Heat Wave, which is really odd, and misses my Cresselia. So I'm like, yes. And then she gets the triple Protect. And I'm like, how? Thankfully, I was just like, you know what? I'm just going to go for the one attack. Because if I get rid of the Chandelure, you know, at the very least, I can finish the Salamence off with like a double-edged Brave Bird combo. And it just doesn't happen. So, Focus Sash. So now I have a Talonflame at 12 HP. And it's just like, well, I mean, at the very least, if I Brave Bird into the Chandelure, I won't lose all my HP. I'd only lose 1 HP, so I'll be able to survive that. So that has to be the play. I'm going to Mega Evolve, and I'm just going to go Double Edge into the Salamence. I should survive his Double Edge. I think. I'm hoping. I don't really know. I've never been in this situation before, so I'm thinking, okay, I could probably survive it. You know, my Talonflame's going to survive at like 11 HP. We just have to hope, you know, if my Double Edge doesn't take out the Salamence, or it takes me out, we just have to hope that my Talonflame's enough to take it out. Now, he doesn't take me out, so I'm like, yes! And I go for Double Edge, and is this going to be enough to take it out? Is it? It is! Whoa. So, funnily, I don't even know if that's a word, we're just going to go with it. Both of my Pokemon end up with 11 and 12 HP, and that was the most clutch battle I've ever had. That triple Protect, even though it was just super haxy, it didn't end up coming into play. I could have won the battle a lot sooner. And there was a video Aaron Zhang just did where like people get hung up on the hacks, and then they like get hung up on it and then just not do well. And I'm really proud of that battle because triple Protect is just like very, very, very unlikely. But I didn't get hung up on it. I just powered through it, and I was like, screw it. We are going to not let that get to us. So this battle was interesting. As you can see, my opponent has a Bisharp, and I actually opted to start off with Landorus, which, while sounds like a really crazy idea, there's a lot of things that on his team that was grounded, and leading off with Cresselia and Landorus would let me get Trick Room up, and go for that Earthquake. And if he did start off with Bisharp, he'd have a tough decision. Do I go for the Cresselia, which is very difficult to take down, which his team really didn't have anything to take down outside of the Bisharp, or do I go for the Landorus, who will without a doubt KO me this turn with Earthquake? Choices. So that's kind of why I like that lead, because it really put a lot of pressure on my opponent to decide, okay, I have a +1 Bisharp. Do I risk the Earthquake and take out the Cresselia, or do I risk the Trick Room and take out the Landorus? So that was the awesome thing. And also, you know, it gave me a really good lead off against Kangaskhan if he just did decide to lead off with Kangaskhan. So, you know, he did lead off with Suicune, and I didn't like that combo for me, so I decided to switch into Kangaskhan and really hope that he didn't get a burn on me with Scald, because that would suck. So obviously his Kangaskhan Mega Evolves, you know, what else are you gonna do? And goes for Fake Out onto the Kangaskhan, and I'm like, oh, not bad. Not bad at all. I dig. And then goes for Ice Beam, so I was like, great, no burn chance. Awesome. And I take that really well. And I get my Trick Room up, which is, whoop, awesome. So now I have my Kangaskhan, you know, against his Kangaskhan. I'm going to Mega Evolve here. And I was trying to decide, you know, should I just go for the Hammer Arm straight on Kangaskhan? You know, there's like an 18% chance he will survive. Do I go for the Double Edge onto the Suicune? What do I do? So I decided to actually just Psychic the Suicune and Hammer Arm the Kangaskhan, because I figured, you know what, the worst that can happen this turn, as long as I don't get a low roll, is Suicune scalds my Kangaskhan. Big deal, you know, maybe 30% chance to get a burn, but 70% chance in my favor is a better chance than not taking out either of the two Pokemon, you know what I'm saying? So that's what I went for, and I get burned. Which, in the long run, doesn't really matter. My Kangaskhan's pretty low on HP regardless. There's not too many things that I'm worried about. I am at -2, though, and in comes the Sylveon. Now, I'm thinking, okay, I'm at -2, kind of. I'm going to go for Helping Hand, you know, and we're going to try and take out the Sylveon. And I get a crit, which definitely mattered, but in the same vein, had I not gotten burnt, I wouldn't have needed the crit, you know what I'm saying? So I go down to Double Edge here, which is fine, you know, I'm burnt, and it's not like I'm going to really be taking out this Suicune anytime soon, you know? Now, he goes again for Scald, and again gets a burn, which, hey, you know what, whatever, it's Cresselia, I don't really care about the burn. So I'm trying to think, you know, who my best switch in here would be. And considering that he possibly had the Bisharp in the back, I did not want to lead off with Sylveon, even though we outsped it. It's just something I wasn't really willing to risk. And I go for Helping Hand here, and I go for Brave Bird. But what's awesome is I didn't predict the Protect. I kind of figured it would go for Knockoff on my Cresselia. So I actually go for the Suicune, and unfortunately I don't take it out. Which is like, oh my god, you must be like uber bulky in defense, because Helping Hand banded plus Brave Bird is ridiculous, you know? So I end up not taking it out, and I'm a little worried here, because now I've got a Bisharp, which obviously if I attacked into last turn wouldn't be that big of a deal. But I only have Lando in the back. I didn't have Sylveon, that's right, I had Lando. I didn't want to bring in Lando because of, you know, the Defiant boost, and now we've got this Bisharp, and I'm a little worried. So what I do is I actually go for Helping Hand Earthquake, figuring he's probably going to Sucker Punch either the Cresselia or the Landorus, obviously. But I'm bulky enough that I figured that I can take the Sucker Punch, and I figured that I would need the Helping Hand to take out the Suicune. So I do it, and guess what, guys? It happens. I love this team because it's so clutch. So clutch, and I don't think I've had a battle longer than 8 turns with this team so far, which is amazing. Which is why I'm able to give you guys like 5 battles. So this is the final battle. Very interesting team. It was pretty much a hail room team. But the way I was looking at it was, if I started off with Sylveon, I kind of assumed he wouldn't really have anything that outsped my Sylveon in Trick Room. And if I started off with Kangaskhan, I'd be able to immediately threaten most of his team. You've got the Abomasnow, which I can one-shot with Fire Punch. You've got the Excadrill, which I think I can one-shot with Hammer Arm. So overall, this would be a pretty solid lead for me, and I like my team because, you know, Kangaskhan's really good at stopping other Trick Room teams. You know, you get rid of their sweeper in the first turn, because usually they expect Fake Out, so they'll protect with the Trick Roomer, and then you get rid of the sweeper. But unfortunately, he does start off with Scrafty, which means I'm going to be at -1, which means I'm not really going to be able to take out the Scrafty. However, considering I had Sylveon on the field, I figured, screw it, we're gonna go for Hammer Arm on the Scrafty. So I chose that, and then in comes the Abomasnow, and on stream I was just like, yes, yes, because even at -1, even without the crit, that Abomasnow was going down. So that was amazing. That was a perfect switch for me. And I'm just gonna get a full blast Hyper Voice onto this Jellicent, which does, well, a little less than I thought it would. I thought it would do a little bit more than half, but the good news about that is that it actually means that we don't proc the Citrus Berry, which means we could probably take it out with a double attack next turn. So in comes Excadrill, and I'm like, what should I do? Well, I do believe I went for Hammer Arm and, of course, Hyper Voice. Unfortunately, I did actually completely forget about Will-O-Wisp on Jellicent, but for some reason he actually protected. Oh, I didn't go for Hyper Voice. I went for Shadow Ball because I was just like, alright, Hammer Arm's probably going to be enough. I think I figured because I'd be faster. I don't know. I went for Fire Punch, which was kind of a bad play, considering the fact that Hammer Arm is stronger. You know, it's not like he's four times weak. So that's what I went for. Now, Jellicent does go for Recover. I switched into Talonflame because I was expecting the Iron Head as basically my best play. Now I go for Hammer Arm, which really, again, didn't make much sense. But since I'm burnt now, it's really not going to do anything. I'm at like -3. So it's really not going to do anything. But he does go for Iron Head, so it's really not going to do too much to my Talonflame. So I'm in a good position. I am. I truly am. But you know, my Kangaskhan's kind of dead weight right now because it's like at -3 and it's really, really weak. But for some reason, he switches out to Scrafty here, which I do believe he was just trying to make my Kangaskhan even more dead weight, which is fair enough. But I don't remember if it was prediction or if I was just switching out fearing the Scald because I knew I wouldn't take out the Jellicent. But I switched into Cresselia here, so that's pretty cool. And yeah, it doesn't really do very much, this Scrafty. So this is actually kind of getting into like a stalemate where my Kangaskhan's not really strong. He can't really do much to my team at this point, so it's just like kind of, what do we do? You know, we're just playing that switching game. So finally I decided, you know what, he's probably going to go for Drain Punch. I should probably switch out to my Sylveon here. He actually goes for Knockoff instead, and it really doesn't do too much. And then he goes for Burn onto my Cresselia, which is fine. You know, the residual damage is cool for him, but it doesn't really bother me too much. I go for Ice Beam on the Scrafty, just to get some damage off. You know, I was kind of hoping for a freeze, because it's kind of like, this is a really long battle. Trick Room goes back to normal, and this is kind of one of the funniest battle turns. I wasn't sure if he was going to go for Trick Room or not. I kind of thought he wouldn't, because my Sylveon is faster rather. But I go for Helping Hand Hyper Voice, hoping to catch something in on the switch in. And I actually do catch the Excadrill, which is great, because Wow, I'm starting to lose my train of thought. I'm not feeling so good. Because Excadrill would be an issue for me. Now, okay, so this is the turn. I wasn't sure because he went for Scald, so I figured he wasn't going to be going for Trick Room because clearly my Sylveon was slower than the rest of his team. So, what I do is even though I know he's going to fake me out, I still go for Hyper Voice just in case. You never know. It could have been very useful. And I actually go for Trick Room with my Cresselia. But, as you noticed, Jellicent hasn't moved yet. So, unfortunately, he goes for Trick Room. And I found that odd because my Sylveon did outspeed both his Jellicent and his Scrafty in Trick Room. So, it was kind of one of those plays where it's just like, maybe not. You probably shouldn't have done that. But he also had nothing to take out my Sylveon. And I did have the Talonflame in the back. So that was game there. So thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I hope to see you guys in the next episode. Peace. So I go for Helping Hand here, expecting the Encore, not exactly realizing that Encore does not affect me, because otherwise I would have